What's up guys, it's your boy Senron. I recently did a poll regarding the Rune video, and based on the results of said poll, the majority of you want me to upload the Rune video separately based on its chapters. The message you see on screen shows some date estimates of when each part will be uploaded. If you dislike the idea of clicking on multiple videos, don't worry, because after all the individual parts have been uploaded, I'll combine them with some extra content to make one big video, which will be uploaded at the very end of this year. Now that we got all the technical stuff out of the way, let's begin with part 1 of the Rune video. In League of Legends, runes are a set of customizable and unique elements that allow you to tailor your champion's stats and abilities to suit your very own playstyle. You can select the rune page during the champion selection, and once the game starts, the rune page will be automatically locked in and will stick with you for the remainder of the match. Runes are mostly passive enhancements that add new effects or buffs to a player's champion. Currently, there are a total of 63 runes in the game, but thankfully they're all organized into 5 main categories, which are known as rune paths. These are named Precision, Domination, Sorcery, Resolve, and Inspiration. Seeing as I'll go into great detail about them in my next few videos, I'll refrain from explaining each one now. Instead, let's take a closer look at rune pages themselves. Each rune page consists of a primary and a secondary path. The primary tree grants you access to 1 keystone and 3 minor runes, while the secondary path only grants you access to 2 minor runes. Keystones are arguably the most important part of the rune page, as they define the way you want to approach a game. There are several different keystones to choose from, with each of them offering unique effects. Some offer an extra source of damage, others may provide some utility for allies, and some just make you flat out unkillable for a couple of seconds. Seeing as how the use of a keystone can differ depending on the situation you are in, they all have their very own strengths and weaknesses. Generally speaking though, the keystone you'll want to pick should complement you and your champion's role and playstyle. After you've chosen your keystone, it's time to pick your minor runes. A minor rune provides you with a smaller but still noticeable effect, which occurs if specific conditions are met. And just like with keystones, the effects and the strength of each minor rune can vary depending on which situation you are currently in. After you're done setting up your keystone and minor runes, it's time to add the final touches to your creation through rune shards. There are a total of 3 shard slots. The first shard slot grants you a bonus to your offense by either giving you attack speed, adaptive damage, or spell haste. The second shard slot grants you a flexible option between offense and defense. Here you can choose between adaptive damage, armor, or magic resistance. The third shard slot grants you a bonus to your defense by either giving you health per level, armor, or magic resistance. Shards sound and are quite boring. I know, but boring can sometimes be good, as you have to put less thought into what you're doing. I'll go into more detail about shards in part 7 of the rune guide, but for now, all you need to know is that you primarily pick shards for the laning phase. Being able to only choose 1 keystone, 5 minor runes, and 3 shards might not sound like you have a lot of choice in terms of creative freedom. But some nerds on the League of Legends wiki calculated the total amount of individual rune pages that can be created, which ends up at 55,566 unique rune pages in total. Assuming that you wanted to try out every single rune page at least once, on Summoner's Rift, where a game on average lasts 28.5 minutes, it would take you 1,583,631 minutes of in-game time in total. FYI, that's just short of 1,100 days of playtime. To my knowledge, there is currently no one who has tried every single rune page at least once. So if you want to make League of Legends history, this is probably a good way to do it. Just keep in mind that the game we are talking about is League of Legends. Did you change your mind yet? Good, because it's time for the next chapter. Players can individually customize the runes they want to use through either the Rune Page tab in a launcher or by clicking on the rune bar in Champ Select. Brand new accounts have access to 3 rune pages, but this number can be increased up to a maximum of 25 by buying rune pages with either 6,300 blue essence or 590 riot points each. Buying additional rune pages isn't a must, however, as most players only ever need 1 rune page. Even I only use 1, as I change it in Champ Select every game to adapt to my lane or the game approach. and I would strongly advise you to do the same. But if you're completely new to League, lazy and/or forgetful, feel free to use saved rune pages, which include your favorite choices. To make choosing viable rune options for beginners easier, Riot introduced a system called Rune Recommender earlier this season. If you hover over or lock in a champion during champ select, you will be able to access the Rune Recommender button on the left side of the loadout. The Rune Recommender automatically determines and recommends the best runes and summoner spells for your chosen champion and role, and presents up to 3 different sets which you can click on to apply to your loadout. The recommended rune sets are updated per patch based on current data and the best runes available for each champion in each role. This system is, however, contrary to the name, not recommendable, as sometimes the choices can be very limiting. Also, playing meta might sound good, but once people know what to expect, you'll find it harder to choose any kind of funny play. I should probably also mention that if you fail to select a completed rune page in time, League will automatically assign you to the first recommended rune setup of Rune Recommender. As I've stated earlier, runes can be incredibly helpful. One of the most significant aspects of runes is that they empower your champion's strength and weaknesses. Tanks can soak more damage, assassins can one-shot more reliably, and Yoriks can push better. The beauty of runes is that they're adaptable. You can change your rune setup from game to game, depending on your champion, role, game approach, and enemies you're facing. This allows you to strategize better and counter your opponents more reliably, either during the laning phase already or in late game teamfights. Pretty much everything you want is already made into a rune. Additional sustain? Check. Additional damage? Check. Guaranteed one-shots? Check. A patch that would focus on the core issues of the game instead of giving Lux a new skin? Yeah, that should probably do it. Runes are designed to influence the pace of a game. Some runes enable players to be more assertive during the laning phase, to snowball a lead to single-handedly carry an entire game, while other runes introduce an additional method for scaling for those of you who might like action-packed, late-game teamfights more. League of Legends is a dynamic game, and your rune choices should reflect that. Don't be afraid to adapt them to a specific matchup or team composition you're facing. There is no one-size-fits-all rune page, so it's best to experiment and find out what works best for you. Although I have to warn you that there are game modes in which, and champions on which, certain runes are essentially useless. In this case, the game will automatically substitute unusable runes for an alternative upon the game start. If this happens to be the case in one of your games, you will see a notification at the start of a match in your chat messages. Now, I hate changes as much as the next guy, but trust me, these are helpful. You don't need mana-related runes on champions that don't own any mana. You don't need to be stronger in the river if the map you're playing on has no river. And you especially don't need Predator or magical footwear on feetless champions like Cassiopeia. Speaking of feet, did you see the new champion Briar? She's like this super creepy 9-year-old girl who doesn't like to wear shoes. Yeah, I knew this would happen. Let's just cut the